It wasn't a tech breakthrough or insider access, just investing $500 into a coin as a joke. Just months later, his balance hit $5 million. You won't believe which altcoin did it. In August 2020, an anonymous developer known only as Ryoshi deployed a token on the Ethereum blockchain. It had no roadmap, no team, and absolutely zero promises. But it did have a mission, which was to become the Dogecoin killer. Unlike Doge, which ran on its own chain, this new token would harness Ethereum's ecosystem to scale faster and reach farther. Its name? Still unknown to most. Ryoshi didn't spend a dollar on marketing. There was no pre-sale, no VC backing. He simply created 1 quadrillion tokens and sent half of them to Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin's wallet, an audacious publicity move that would later define SHIB's legend. The rest were locked on Uniswap. It wasn't meant to be serious, though. It was satire, a meme until the meme caught fire. And in a market driven by emotion and virality, that was more than enough to light the fuse. But no one expected what happened next, not even the ones who bought. When SHIB launched, its price was laughable. 1/1,000,000th of a penny, that is 10 zeros after the decimal. For $500, you could buy tens of billions of tokens. It felt like monopoly money, a throwaway bet. But then came 2021, a perfect storm of TikTok hype, Elon Musk's dog-themed tweets, and crypto retail mania sent it skyrocketing. By October, it peaked at 1/100th of a cent. That's a jump of over 75 million% in under 15 months. At that level, a mere $500 stake had ballooned to over $5 million. And this wasn't just internet lore. On-chain data backed it all up. Whale stats flagged the top wallets. CoinMarketCap logged the historic run. And Etherscan traced every transaction. Overnight, meme coin millionaires were real, and they hadn't written a line of code, mined a single block, or even left their bedrooms. They just held on. But when the internet caught wind of it, the wildfire truly began. SHIB's rise wasn't only financial, it was viral. In May 2021, Elon Musk tweeted cryptically about Shiba pups, sending Twitter into a frenzy. He never said the token's name outright, but it didn't matter. Retail investors connected the dots and piled in. Meanwhile, TikTok exploded with videos, young traders claiming life-changing gains, urging followers to get in before it's too late. Reddit's crypto subreddits joined the hype, drawing parallels between it and the early Dogecoin days. Memes, screenshots, and wallet balances began circulating like wildfire. Then came the Robinhood rumors, speculation that the trading giant would list SHIB push prices even higher. Retail fear of missing out reached peak levels. It wasn't about fundamentals. It was about momentum, identity, and the dream of turning scraps into millions. Shiba Inu had become a movement, and movements, especially in crypto, don't ask for permission. They just erupt. But one wallet didn't just win, it became a legend in silence. Amid SHIB's meteoric rise, one address stood out. A single wallet that turned $8,000 into $5.7 billion. The numbers were so staggering, many thought it was fake. But blockchain doesn't lie. Etherscan confirmed it. Trillions of it, untouched, sitting idle. The crypto world watched, stunned. Why hadn't the holder sold? Was it brilliance or a mistake? Theories obviously erupted as some believed the owner lost their keys. Others thought it was Ryoshi himself, leaving the fortune untouched as a symbolic gesture. A few imagined diamond hands beyond comprehension. The wallet became a symbol of greed, mystery, and restraint. It was tracked obsessively, with every small movement making headlines. But for months, it remained still. No sell-off, no exit. Just $5.7 billion in SHIB, collecting digital dust. And in that stillness, it haunted everyone who sold early. Proof of what could have been if they just held on. But behind the hype and gains, there were cracks nobody wanted to see. For all its viral glory, SHIB was built on shaky ground. In 2020 and 2021, it had no real utility, no product or roadmap. It wasn't solving a problem, it was writing a meme. And for many, that was enough. But serious concerns were mounting. SHIB's total supply? 1 quadrillion tokens, which was a number so large it distorted perceptions of value. Critics argued it made the coin inherently unsustainable. Then came whispers about the developer wallet, that it held too much control. Fear of a rug pull loomed. Liquidity was thin. Volatility was off the charts. Even minor sell-offs triggered cascading drops. Analysts warned it was a house of cards propped up by retail emotion, but few listened. Because when everyone's making money, skepticism sounds like jealousy. And so, investors ignored the red flags, until the market reminded them, meme or not, gravity always returns. But for many early holders, the hardest part wasn't buying, it was staying. On Reddit and Twitter, the confessions piled up. "I sold at $50,000, one user wrote. "Thought I nailed it. Watched it hit $2 million a month later." Stories of early believers who bailed too soon were all over the place. Some sold after doubling their money. Others cashed out at six figures, fearing a crash that never came, until it did. The wild volatility, the media noise, the rumors of rug pulls, it all made holding feel reckless. And when friends or family questioned it, the pressure grew unbearable. Only a tiny fraction had the conviction, or if you want to call it blind luck, to ride it out to the top. Most couldn't imagine that a joke token could even climb that high in the first place. In hindsight, the math is simple. But in the moment, fear wins, doubt wins. And that's what makes SHIB's $5 million miracle so haunting, because thousands were just one decision away from living it themselves. But when the institutions joined in, SHIB's joke status vanished overnight. What began as a meme coin on the fringes suddenly entered the big leagues. In rapid succession, Binance, Coinbase, and Kraken all listed SHIB, an unprecedented move for a token with no white paper, no leadership, and no product. But by then, momentum had overpowered logic. Trading volume exploded. At its peak, it outpaced Ethereum and Bitcoin in daily trades. Petitions to list it on Robinhood gathered hundreds of thousands of signatures. The message was clear. The public wasn't just watching, they were all in. Then came the headline no one predicted. SHIB entered the top 10 coins by market cap. A token that launched as a joke was now competing with legacy protocols. Analysts were stunned, critics were silenced, and holders, those still clutching their bags, felt vindicated. SHIB had become a symbol of retail power, the kind of chaos only crypto could produce. But every rise has its fall, and SHIB's crash came just as fast. By early 2022, the tide turned. The market cooled, and SHIB's price began its slow descent. From its peak, it dropped over 80%, wiping out billions in paper wealth. For every millionaire who cashed out, dozens watched their fortunes vanish on screen. Some did walk away rich. Wallets that sold during the peak became absolute legends, but most held for far too long, chasing more zeros. In Reddit threads, regret replaced celebration. Screenshots of $5 million balances became cautionary tales. Still, it didn't vanish, and its community held strong as developers, whether new or anonymous, kept building. Today, it has its own Layer 2 blockchain called Shibainu, plus a growing NFT ecosystem and sister tokens like Leash and Bone. It's no longer just a meme now, it's a brand. But the wild magic of 2021? That moment's gone, and those who lived through it still ask, was it brilliance, luck, or just pure timing? The real question haunts investors still hoping for their turn. Could it happen again? It worked because lightning struck 3 times. Community, meme power, and perfect timing. But chasing the next altcoin? That's where dreams turn dangerous. The irony? It was never about fundamentals. It was belief, raw, irrational, contagious. And that kind of magic rarely repeats.